Hey, Decathlon gamer. Welcome back to FM23 Newton Heath, episode 27, and we kick off a new season. This is the season opener. We are on the road at Woking and with a squad that we've seen a lot of. The outfield, all 10 players are unchanged. These are returning guys from last season. We do have a new goalkeeper in who, if you've seen the preseason episode, have already seen. And he is a significant upgrade from Killip. Killip no longer on the team. One of our regular starters at defensive mid is gone from the squad, but otherwise, it's the same 9 other players that normally started at Whitehall was a regular feature. Hammond, the one who is gone from defensive mid, and that was more about cost. I see a nice play there, and Ford, great first touch. Can't convert though. Pike is out injured. He's down to 2 to 3 weeks on his injury, so Hughes in at right back, and Pike is definitely our strongest, best fullback that we have, but Donasian is certainly a decent one. We're playing at a higher level, and the expectations here are that the other teams are better than what we are, and at least so far we have not been able to attract attention as Whitehall makes a good tackle there to stop the counterattack. And so far, shots, all us. But how is Woking in the league? I'm not sure, actually, what their preseason prediction was. I didn't think to check that one. I feel like I should have, so we could have had a kind of at least a decent indicator of where we lie. One thing that I'm intending to do for this season, as I just realized my face cam is in my PCM place, not my FM place. Let me switch that real quick. One thing I am intending to do this season, as we win that header, but it looked like it was well over the crossbar, so not very close to being on target. They have finally registered a shot just before halftime, but we've only registered 4. Wilson! Come on, dude! Wilson misses the easy header, and it ends up leading to a goal out of nothing. I mean, the guy is nowhere near it. Wilson. That's a huge mistake from Wilson. Very costly. Right before halftime, and, when they have done absolutely nothing in this game. This was looking like it could fizzle into a 0-0 draw, and then now we're going to have to get on the scoreboard as Whitehall earns the corner kick. After that takes the deflection. Tanner stepping up to take this one, and that's cleared away, but Neal blasts it in. Harrison Neal. So here's the story with Harrison Neal. Neal's new contract had promised to improve the team. But as I was just discussing, we aren't attracting better talent than what we have. So the guys that we've been bringing in this summer have been more about squad depth than about actually improving the squad. Now, the squad depth is definitely improved from a year ago. We have probably 14 players that are all very, very similar quality-wise. And then we have, a good 8 to 10 players behind that are just a step below and capable of playing. I mean, so, we have almost 2 deep at every position where, you feel confident that Whitehall can play. You feel confident that Hughes can step in. You feel confident that, somebody besides Tanner can step up and play. That Pierre is actually the backup to Tunnicliffe. Tunnicliffe coming back from an injury, cleared to play 45 minutes. I'm not going to put him in now at halftime. I'll put him in a little bit later on. Maybe it's Wilson, whose rating is abysmal at the moment, that might get subbed instead. What we have in depth now, we still haven't seen our quality, of the first team change. And Neal's promise, well, he was upset that we hadn't signed anybody by the later part of the summer. Our most recent signing, again, still just depth. He is available on the bench. Hercules, who actually they're pushing me to sub in for Ford right now, and oh gosh, Ford has picked up a knock. Let's go ahead and do it then. Let's give Hercules his debut. Oh, damn, Neil just blasts a second long-range effort into the back of the net. We needed to finish our discussion about Neil here, as we're already past the hour point. So Neil's first attempt is deflected, and then the clearance doesn't go far enough away. Neil, from even further out, just blasts that keeper. Probably should have done better with that. That should be a save, but that was still a fantastic strike. Can't take that away from him. And yes, we do want to proceed with the tactical change, and Hercules does get his debut. And let's also get balanced so we're not ahead of the ball off the damn time. And let's not do that anymore. We'll go back to balance as it's 2-2. Pierre Lapalabai should have finished that clearance off, but doesn't. He was in a much better position, but does not win the header there. Grayson, good ball inside to Johnson. Johnson unmarked. We got two guys nearby. One of them needed to be tight on him, and neither were. And so he gets the free tap in, and here we go with another dangerous free kick moments later. Tanamowo is on Woking. Tanamowo, one of our fullbacks, one of our regulars from a year ago that Donasian had replaced as he was not good enough. And he was kind of the number 2 guy otherwise. Has now been replaced by Brooks. We suddenly have 3 yellow cards as well. And we're running out of time. Another dangerous free kick. That looked so wide. That didn't even look like it was very close. And it somehow scraped in off the post. And we fucking trail. Are you kidding me? We go from totally dominating this thing to losing for a second time. Jules looked like he might have strayed offside, but no flag. Flag stays down. Back to the AR insists that it was onside as he's signaling. Pierre, long ball. Running out of time. Very attacking. Always press. Lapalabai is having a rough one. What do we have left for subs? Hercules was my sub for the right wing. Lund. You know what? Let's push up from the midfield at least a little bit. Neil. Man, that sucks. Well, anyway, Neil. Hercules! Got it. Offside. Man, it clearly looked like he just ran beyond his man there. So theirs looks off. Ours looks on. And calls go one way, go the other. Hughes, not a very good clearance there at all, and then gives them the corner, and that's going to put us into the 5 minutes of stoppage time. Tanner, I don't want to make a sub last second like this, but Lund is not a very good attacking player, so no, we don't want to make these changes. We're going to let the team do what they can. Seconds left. It looks like we're going to come away with no points in the season opener after dominating the game in all facets. I mean, they hardly had a shot in the first half. They get a little bit in the second, but it was all in that short little sequence. I mean, they had probably 6 of their 8 shots for the entire match within a 10-minute time frame and got those 2 goals. And then they got the one totally against the run of play after Wilson's major mistake. So it does show we have a flawed team. We can come out here and dominate Woking and then still lose. Now, XG ultimately went higher for them, but almost all of that XG came in that one little stretch, and apparently we had a quiet second half as we got very little XG. Even though the run of play looked different, we didn't turn it into chances. Neil. The game got in the way of the commentary on Neil, regarding Neil, and the pace of it anyway. When we finally signed Hercules, Neil dropped his concern about the state of the squad. He was happy. This was less than a week ago, by the way. 2 days later, we get an offer from Wickham for Neil, 45K. That's nothing for us. He has a minimum release clause of 150K. If they want him, they could pay the 150K for him. So I turned it down. He blew up. Absolutely blew up, and has now, as a result, promised that he will not stay here. He's going to run his contract out, which expires at the end of the year. So that happened. Right? We get him happy, and it lasts for not even 48 hours. F. Wickham and creating that headache for us. Ford's injury is a bruised knee, just 1 to 3 days, so he should be fine going forward. Take a brief look at the new players and kind of how they compare to those around them. And the first one that we're going to look at is Charlie Wiggett. Wiggett is center back or defensive mid, so we'll compare him with, like, say, Dunnicliffe and probably Whitehall. You can see that Tunnicliffe is slower, but a little bit better defensively, and so that's why Wiggett is more of a backup. Okay, fine, he adds speed, but he's not great defensively. But you can see, he's not miles behind him. And in the case of Whitehall, very similar players. He defends ever so slightly better aerially, and then Whitehall has the slight advantage when it comes to the physical and mental side of the game. So you could easily swap these two around, and if Whitehall has a couple bad performances, Wiggett is definitely in that defensive mid for sure. So he's a good quality depth guy, because that's a good one to have on the bench or on the roster, because you can interchange him at center back or at that defensive mid, and that gives us a little more flexibility. Harry Wallace we just brought in, and he's definitely for some squad depth. That attacking mid position has been one that we're a little bit weak on. Shaq Ford is technically our best, but he's spending most of his time at striker. We know he's really good when he's in the position. And then Lapalabai, of course, is our best right winger. So Tanner and Wallace are kind of the next two guys. So how does Newman, who just signed, he was on loan until after this first game, or a couple days after that first game, so he's actually just now joined us. Where does he fit in compared to Tanner? Well, you can see the very similar players, very similar. Wallace is slightly better defensively. The technical ability of Tanner gives him a slight edge, while Wallace has a little bit more in terms of individual attacking. Plus, Tanner also has flexibility by playing different positions, but you can see how interchangeable he is, as they are, neck and neck, pretty much the same player. And Tanner did really well last year. Hercules comes in at 2 positions for us. You can see he's really strong physically. He's a quick player. Technically not quite there yet, age 23. Still got plenty of time to develop mentals. Some things are there, others are not. And he's actually a very similar mold to Lapalabai. You can see he's a little bit better aerially, tiny bit faster, a little bit better defensively, and then just a little bit behind in some other areas, but similar player, and therefore, you could see him definitely getting some time in at that right wing. On top, you're comparing with Walker, and you can see he's more well-rounded than Walker, but Walker is probably a better finisher. Or he compares with Shaq Ford, and you can see how Ford is faster and definitely a better finisher. But again, he's a little more well-rounded in a few areas. So Hercules is a decent option and another good one to have off the bench. Walker fills one position. Hercules can play 2. And when you only have 5 guys on the bench, you've got to have a little bit of versatility in your options. Andre Brooks can fill in at 3 positions. Left back, that's the primary. But then also defensive mid and attacking mid. So, again, a little more versatility coming out of him as a player. Complete wingback. So I like that as an option, though his crossing is only a 5. Ball winning or defensive midfielder, so he's decent at either. And then on top, that's a bit of a weakness, as we've already seen. He's not a great attacking player. He's definitely a more out of the back guy, but in a pinch, he does give you another option. For us, his primary comparison is Donacien. Donacien is a defensive-minded fullback. Strong defensive, strong mental, strong aerial, and good enough pace. Where Brooks, definitely a bit more attacking-minded as a wingback. So if you need a goal and we're down, you switch from Donacien to Brooks, right? Also, Donacien at 31. This is probably his last year with us. But Brooks, I don't know how much he's going to actually progress, but he is, a player with some potential. But the vision is good. The technical skills, he isn't going to go up and do the scoring himself. It'd be nice if his, crossing was better, so that overlap can combine with the vision to actually, accumulate some assists for us. But we still know what type of player he ultimately is. Capable of playing all 4 attacking positions. Terrell Whitaker is another depth guy who's not going to see a lot of time. I've got 2 more that I'm not even going to go through that are very much the kind of end of the bench. If somebody's injured, guys that are young and have some potential, but you've got good pace. Jumping reach is terrible. Heading is, the combination is certainly not good. The crossing is not good, but he's got good dribbling, good first touch, so he's going to at least get into position. He's just not going to necessarily feed us with the best ball, but his general passing at a 9 for this level is certainly tolerable, but his vision is just okay. But off the ball movement, decision making at least does come together. He's just a very much incomplete player, but having all 4 attacking positions, if somebody is down injured, if somebody needs a rest, plenty of flexibility coming from him. Last one we're going to look at is our new goalkeeper, and he is definitely the man this season. Also, considering that Killip is gone, good enough reflexes. We have to compare to Clayton, but Clayton was almost identical to Killip. He was just like an ounce worse. And so, Killip was getting the starting job, but you could see how the shot stopping, the distribution, and aerially, the key ones, he's better in all. Similar speed, similar mentals, similar communication, and identical physical. The eccentricity really doesn't matter, but he is stronger in the key areas by a decent gap, and so that's huge. My expectation for this season is that we're comfortably in the league, but not quite good enough to get promoted, and without finding any better players to actually improve the squad outside of a better goalkeeper, I don't think that we're suddenly going to become that team that is good enough to get promoted. Not yet. Not without better training facilities, better coaching staff, etc., to actually improve the team. Reputation is improving rapidly. It was under 1,000. It's already over 1,100. We're 1 match into the season. Therefore, what better time to take our manager and make him better, make him capable, make him not just the cup manager, but everyday manager, as long as we're not facing a relegation battle, if we're getting enough results. So for our first home match of the season against Heath and Waterlooville, we are going for the instant result with us managing the side. Tunnicliffe has been cleared to play a full 90. We'll see how he does. If he even plays a full 90, I don't know. And we come away with a 2-0 win, so we are on the board. In fact, we absolutely hammered them 30-1 on shots, 13 of them on target, 66% possession, and Ford gets the pair. Wins are always going to lead to better ratings than losses, but Donasian did really well at right fullback in the last match. Brooks did really well on the left. So instead of switching back to Hughes, I'm going to go ahead and give another chance for that combination and see how they do. And in the meantime, the only player that's really struggled through the first two matches was Lapalo Bai with a below 7.0 rating. So I'm going to go ahead and give a start to Hercules, see how he does. Now his overall rating is not good in his first and only appearance, but he came on late and didn't play much. So a few minutes doesn't amount to anything when we weren't able to do anything in the few minutes that he had. And he actually scored, right? It was just called offside. Also, this is our second road match in just 3 matches into the season. Let's see if we can get our first away result. We are at Eastleigh for this one. And we do. It's a 2-1 away victory. They scored first on a 28th minute penalty. They had 18 shots to our 7, but Shaq Ford puts 2 away to get the full points. Only 2 shots on target, and we get 2 goals. Their goalkeeper, a lot of questions can be asked of that type of performance, but that's a good result against a pretty good side in Eastleigh. They were undefeated so far on the season with a win and a draw in their first 2 matches. Now they'll be 1-1-1, back on 0 goal differential. Who is it that they beat? Dorking? Yeah, Dorking's last place, 1-0. And then drew at home against Woking, which Woking's 1-1-1, and that's who beat us, right, in the opener? It is. So interesting how we've already come full circle in just 3 matches into the season. But that's starting to look good, promotion playoffs, and I would say that we should find ourselves somewhere right about where we are at the end of the season. Not quite good enough to get promoted, but maybe good enough to be in the promotion playoff zone. We'll see how we do with us at the helm long term. Let's go another match. Before we get into that next match, though, we have some experience coming into the side. Sarcevic coming in, 3.5-star guy, as good as Harrison Neal coming in. He can play attacking mid or defensive mid for us, coming from Stockport. Came up through the Man City Academy, the academy that has produced one player all time, modern era, in Phil Foden and nothing else. See, his strength is on the mental side of the game. Physically, okay. Technically, okay. A little bit of a mixed bag. Long throws are not his bag. Free kick taking is not his bag. Penalty taking is. Very good penalty taker. He'll easily be best on the squad. But you can see, 3.5 stars can play either defensive mid roles and can play in our attacking mid role well enough. And you can see when compared to Whitehall, very similar on the defensive profile, but significantly stronger on the attacking profile. Sarcevic will not even get his debut in just 2 to 3 days into training with the squad. He's already picked up a sports hernia and will be out for 5 to 6 weeks. Scouting report showed no signs of injury concerns. 4th match of the season, home against Barnet. I'm going to go back with the same fullback lineup as we've had the last 2 matches now, and they continue to play well. Lapalo Bai back in for Hercules, who didn't do anything particularly good in the last match. And that's it for changes for this one. Pike is cleared to play 45, but I'm going to go ahead and leave him out of the lineup. Donasian is actually about to go on. He heads on international duty, and so does Pierre. Pierre in the lineup for Tunnicliffe today. They're both heading on international duty, so I'm giving them the start today to give the other guys a little bit of rest, and then while they're gone, those guys will be getting the minutes instead anyway. It's a close one, but it is a victory. Shaq Ford scoring in the 15th minute, but we had 27 shots to their 3. Totally dominating. We've been good at home against quite a few teams, and then okay against others. I mean, we were lucky to get that other win that we managed. So still a mixed bag so far, but good performance. 9 points through 4 matches played so far this season. 9 points through 4 matches is obviously a good start. Still not a huge sample size. Things could turn very quickly on the season, but it's definitely a good start. Shaq Ford has the best rating in the league so far. He is the Golden Boot leader so far, 2 ahead of anybody else through only 4 matches played. He's got 5 goals in just 4 matches. Harrison Neal, also with a very high rating, player of the match. Ford's already taken 3 of those in just 4 matches. So definitely a quick start, but like I said, that could change. That could change very, very quickly. Injury, we're getting healthy after a slow start. We're down to just the 1 injured player, and that is the new man that we just brought in. And with that, we have 2 positional upgrades. One of those saw a downgrade. In fact, both starters are gone from the roster. The replacements are better than both of those guys. So our first 11 now has a small upgrade compared to what it was a year ago, but our depth is far better than a year ago. That should help us compete, over the long haul, over the season. But myself managing the side, I think results could be a mixed bag. But the ratings are getting better, so we'll see how that is, how we perform long haul. I don't think we're necessarily going to compete for the top of things. I think our next match is one of the top sides. Dagenham and Redbridge might be who we play next. It's not going to be an easy one, and on the road. So I would imagine we're going to pick up at least a loss there, and then morale. We'll see how that holds up long term. But for now, it's a good start to the season. And that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.